Hi, welcome. Today I want to talk about Leonardo da Vinci and 10 things that we can learn from him. I just finished a biography written by Walter Isaacson, and as I was writing my notes of all the things that I find inspiring and that I want to learn from Leonardo, I thought, why not make a video about it? A lot of his habits resonate with me, and they also click with the content that I make here on this channel and the things that I'm passionate about. So the first thing that he did is, of course, writing things down. He kept a lot of journals. He left 7,200 pages of paper with markings and drawings and annotations. He worked in a very chaotic way and actually went back to very old notes from years ago to just add more notes to the paper. And he wrote in a very small way. He used every part of the paper that he could because paper was quite expensive at the time. And he also wrote in Italian because he couldn't speak the classic languages. You know how much I love my notebooks. I have specific notebooks for specific topics, and if you want to know more about how I use my notebooks and my commonplace books, then I invite you to check out the content on my channel. But concerning journaling and keeping notebooks, writing things down on paper feels more special. It is more inviting to return to written notes instead of typed notes on a computer, and I think it's so great to always carry a notebook. This is my main notebook. It goes with me everywhere. It's also my wallet. And so I have all my cards, money, and in the middle I have a notebook and my pen. And the paper in here is reserved for chaos. Anything that I want to write down goes in here and is then later transferred to the right notebook. So it's kind of a catch-all. So number one is to keep a notebook or notebooks. Number two is to give yourself tasks and make to-do lists. Da Vinci kept lists, he made to-do lists, and yes, I think this is a very good way to empty your thoughts, empty your brain, and I just love writing things down, get them out of my head, and then crossing things off. Number three is also related to journaling and notebooks, and that is to transfer information that you want to keep. So he kept quotes, things that people said, excerpts from books, and he wrote them down on paper. So everything that you want to remember, everything that you want to keep can be anything, a recipe or a piece of dialogue from a book or a book recommendation that someone gave you. Number four is to be curious. If there's something to be said about Leonardo da Vinci, is that he was a curious man. And this is something that I really admire and that really made me think while reading the biography. Leonardo had multiple interests, and he was curious about things that didn't really matter for his work or for his life. And it kind of made me realize that we don't necessarily need to have a goal to look up things. For example, he wrote down on his to-do list that he wanted to find out why it is that people yawn. And this is a question that I've been asking myself quite often. But the difference is that we have all of the information within reach. We can just grab our phone, look up anything that we want to look up. All the information is right there. And he was constantly writing things like, look up this, try to find out how this works, experiment with this. For example, with the yawning, why haven't I looked it up? Because I can do it in like 10 seconds. All of the information is within reach, and this just reminded me that I want to try and be more curious and look up things even if they don't immediately seem relevant to something that I'm doing or working on. It doesn't always have to be useful, and that's just something that I want to keep in mind. Next is experience above knowledge. Leonardo mentioned that he valued experience above a skill that had been taught. He was an autodidact, and he taught himself everything, which is quite inspiring. Next is to read widely. And this is also linked, of course, to being curious, but in a different way. I find it so important to read widely, and I'm trying to do that more and more and more. This is something that I've been working on over the last years, and it's an amazing journey, and I'm really happy that I started reading more widely. Leonardo was interested in so many subjects, and that is why he also had a collection of books on different subjects. Next is to interrogate people, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean to use conversations to learn something. Really see conversations as tools to learn. People bring experience and skill, and we can learn from each other. And Leonardo loved hearing what people had to say about certain subjects, and he liked to learn from other people. Learn from their experiences, and don't forget to collaborate. Next is to look at things with attention and give your full attention to the things that you're busy with. One of the things in the book that really stood out to me was his attention to detail and his curiosity combined. So he could sit, for example, for hours by the lake looking at a dragonfly and just noticing how the wings were moving, which direction they were taking, and so on. And so he could focus and look at things in such detail. What really struck me is how far removed we are from doing such a thing. When was the last time you really looked at an insect, for example, in detail? And I wonder if this is because we don't have to. We can just look up images on the internet. We can look up all the information that we need. We don't need to observe to gather knowledge. And to me, there is something really beautiful in just looking at things. Looking at a flower and really looking at it in detail. And I'm not talking about a picture, I'm talking about the real thing. Looking at a flower, looking at an insect, gazing at the sky. And I think we as humans do this less and less. And it made me realize once again that, we need to slow down. Next is to be a forever student. Never stop learning, never stop challenging yourself. And this ties everything together, being curious, learning, reading widely. I think learning is one of the most beautiful things in life, and it gives so much satisfaction. And number 10 is to build a library. Of course, we can go to the library. You don't have to buy your books. But I think, personally, I find it very satisfying to build my own library. And most importantly, a library that I am proud of. I want all the books on my shelf to be there because I am proud to have them on my shelf. It just gives me so much joy to look at my shelves, and you don't even have to have a huge collection. It could just be 40 books like Leonardo da Vinci had. So the biography said in 1492 he owned almost 40 books, and these books were on various subjects because he had such a wide interest. In the year 1504 he owned 116 books. It's also said that he spent as much money on books as he did on clothes. I personally think that we could all use some Leonardo influence in our lives. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next week.